It was just another Friday at Roosevelt High. The halls buzzed with teenage laughter, tick-tock dances, and whispered gossip. But in the middle of it all walked Imani, a quiet black girl no one really noticed, unless they wanted a target. Her hair long, soft, and carefully braided by her grandma every Sunday was the only thing she was ever proud of. She never said much, never raised her hand in class, never fought back. And that made her easy prey. "Look who's walking like she owns the place," whispered Brittany, one of the meanest girls on campus. Her blonde ponytail bounced as she nudged her friend Kara. "It's Miss Silent Braids again." Imani kept her head down. Her hoodie barely covered her hair, but she didn't care. She just wanted the day to end. They had been picking on her for weeks, tripping her in the cafeteria, tossing her books down the stairs, calling her mop head when the teachers weren't around. But today, something was different. Today, Brittany brought something in her backpack in the girls' bathroom. During lunch, it happened. "Yo, Imani," Brittany said sweetly, stepping in front of her. "We got a surprise for you." Imani clutched her backpack tighter, backing away toward the sinks. "Please, I don't want trouble." "Oh, honey, trouble wants you," Kara laughed, pulling out her phone to record before Imani could even scream. Brittany yanked her hoodie down and splash! A wave of cold liquid drenched her head. The sharp chemical smell hit instantly. It burned her eyes. She gasped, choking on the sting. "Bleach?" "What the—" someone screamed from a nearby. Stall. But Brittany just grinned. "Oops, just wanted to clean that dirty rug of yours." Imani froze. Her scalp tingled, her vision blurred. Her beautiful braids, were soaked and ruined. She stood there dripping, shaking, but silent. "Not a single tear? Y'all, get that on camera?" Kara asked. "Gonna go viral." That was the last thing they remembered hearing from her. Because the moment Imani lifted her head, something in her eyes changed. It wasn't fear anymore. It was fire. The next few minutes were a blur. What those bullies didn't know, what no one in that school knew, was that Imani wasn't just a quiet girl. She was a karate prodigy, trained since she was 4 by her grandfather, a black belt master who once taught military cadets overseas. Imani had national titles, gold medals, but she kept that life private. Because peace was her power until now. Imani dropped her bag. Her feet shifted silently into stance. Her breathing steadied. "What's she doing?" Brittany scoffed. Crack! Kara's phone flew across the room as Imani spun and struck it midair. Thud! Brittany stumbled backward. Her wrist suddenly twisted in a painful lock before she could react. Imani didn't scream. She didn't shout. She moved with precision, controlled, powerful, graceful. A storm wrapped in silence. The bathroom door burst open as a teacher ran in. "What is going on?" She froze. Kara was on the floor, crying. Brittany clutched her arm, howling in pain. And in the middle stood Imani, drenched in bleach, but standing tall like a warrior carved in stone. "Imani?" the teacher whispered. "What happened?" Imani looked her straight in the eye. "I'm done being quiet." The nurse's office smelled like rubbing alcohol and old paperwork. Imani sat on the edge of the vinyl bed, still wrapped in the oversized hoodie the janitor had given her. Her scalp burned, but she didn't flinch. She hadn't cried once. Not when the bleach soaked her braids, not when the nurse carefully began cutting them off strand by ruined strand. Across the room, the school principal, Mr. Hackley, paced furiously. "We're going to get to the bottom of this," he muttered. "We have security footage. The girls will be suspended, maybe even expelled." Imani said nothing. She just stared at the bundle of hair in the trash can. But then the nurse said something that made her stomach twist. We need to notify your guardian, sweetheart. Your file says your parents are gone, Imani interrupted quietly. I live with my grandfather. The nurse nodded, picked up the phone, and dialed. Meanwhile, in the principal's office down the hall, Brittany and Kara sat with their parents crying, complaining, playing the victims. She attacked us. Brittany's mom shrieked. That little street rat could have broken my daughter's wrist. She went full psycho. Kara sniffled. I was just recording. I didn't even do anything. But Mr. Hackley wasn't buying it. We have footage, he said firmly. We also have bleach burns on the victim. Your daughters could have permanently scarred a student, but she assaulted them. She defended herself. Just then, a voice echoed from the hallway. Which one of you poured chemicals on? My granddaughter? Silence hit the room like thunder. The door opened, and in walked Grandmaster Ezekiel Jordan, Imani's grandfather. He looked like he'd walked out of a war movie tall, sharp-eyed, silver-haired but strong. His posture was military, his eyes full of fire. On his jacket sleeve was the faded patch from his years in the U.S. Marine Corps. The room felt colder the second he stepped in. Who's in charge here? He asked, his voice calm. Too calm, Mr. Hackley stood up. Sir, we're so sorry. Ezekiel held up a hand. Save it. I want to see the girls. Brittany shrank back in her chair. Carl looked down. Did you put bleach in her hair? He asked Brittany, his eyes not blinking once. I was just... Answer the question. She trembled. Yes. And you recorded it? He turned to Kara. I didn't know she was going to pour it. Wrong answer. The parents began to speak up, shouting over each other, but Ezekiel turned to Mr. Hackley. I want them charged. My granddaughter is going to a hospital. She has chemical burns. You better pray she doesn't lose her scalp or her sight. Mr. Hackley nodded quickly. Absolutely. I've already called the school board and the police. There will be consequences. Brittany's mom stood up, furious. You can't threaten us like this. Ezekiel stepped closer. Ma'am, I'm not threatening. I'm promising. That evening, Imani sat silently in the passenger seat of her grandfather's truck. The sun was setting, casting a soft orange glow across the dashboard. Her head was now bandaged, her eyes puffy from the medication. Grandpa? She said softly. He glanced at her. Am I weak? He pulled the truck to the side of the road. Imani, he said, turning to her gently. Weakness is staying silent when you have the power to protect yourself. What you did was brave. But I lost my hair. Ezekiel smiled sadly. Hair grows back. But you stood up. You made a choice. I've trained soldiers who couldn't do what you did. Tears slipped down her cheek, not because she was sad, but because she finally felt seen. He reached into the glove compartment and pulled out something small and black, a velvet pouch. Inside it was a red patch, her black belt test date. It's time, he said. You're ready. Across town, Brittany and Kara's phones had been seized. Their video was leaked, not by them, but by an anonymous student who had witnessed the entire thing. Public outrage exploded. The Bleach attack went viral, but not how they expected. The world saw the truth. And it was ugly. The school received over 9,000 calls in a single day. Protesters lined the front gate by morning. Hashtags trended. Celebrities reposted the clip. But the only person who stayed quiet was Imani. She didn't need to speak. Her silence had already said everything. A week had passed. The internet hadn't calmed down. News outlets had picked up the story. Black teen attacked with bleach at school fights, back with karate precision. Some called her a hero, others a vigilante. But Imani stayed silent through it all. She wasn't chasing fame. She was chasing clarity. Every morning, She woke up at 5 a.m., wrapped her healing scalp in silk, and trained with her grandfather in their backyard dojo. The pain was still there, both inside and out, but now she used it. Every punch, every kata, every kick was layered with purpose. And then came the announcement that made her blood chill. The State Youth Martial Arts Tournament. Ezekiel handed her the flyer at dinner. She stared at it. "You're not just going to show them you can fight," he said. "You're going to remind them who you've always been." Imani looked down. "What if they laugh at me? What if they see this?" She touched the scarf. Over her bandaged scalp, Ezekiel leaned forward. "Baby girl, people laughed at me when I trained barefoot in dirt fields with broken mats. Let them laugh. They'll stop when you start." Tournament day, the gym smelled like sweat, floor wax, and nerves. Imani stood barefoot on the edge of the mat. Her name was called. Whispers filled the stands. "Isn't that the Bleach girl? Didn't she go viral last week? Why's she even here? She's probably soft," she heard them. All of them, but her focus was razor sharp. She bowed to the referee, bowed to her opponent, and the moment the match started, W-H-E-K. A spinning back kick landed square in the girl's side. Thud. Another hit, straight to the chest protector. The crowd gasped. I moved like water-controlled, but fierce. No wasted movement. No wild swings. Just pure, trained discipline. It wasn't even close. The referee raised her hand. "Winner, Imani Jordan," the crowd roared. At the next match? That's when the storm really began. She walked into the semifinals bracket and saw a familiar face. Kara wearing a white belt and a smug grin. "What are you doing here?" Imani asked, stunned. "My daddy's lawyer made a deal. Anger management classes, community work, and martial arts therapy," Kara said sweetly. "Surprise. Guess who they stuck me with?" Imani's fists clenched. "Oh, and Brittany's here too. Just ... In the audience," Kara giggled. "She wanted to see what you'd do. Hope you're ready to be embarrassed again." The referee called them to the mat, round one. Kara charged like a fool, no form, just wild energy. Imani dodged, ducked, watched. Her burn herself out in seconds. Then she struck lightning fast, with a front kick that sent Kara sprawling across the mat. The audience gasped, but she didn't follow up. She didn't need to. Kara got up trembling. "You're going to hit me again, huh?" She hissed. "No," Imani said coolly. "I'm going to show you control. Something you clearly never learned." Round 2. Kara faked left, then tried to sweep Imani's leg sloppy. Imani caught her arm mid-motion. Twisted. Tap. Tap. Kara screamed and tapped out. Referee blew the whistle. Winner, Imani Jordan. The crowd exploded in applause. Her grandfather stood proudly in the back, arms crossed. The girl who once cried silently in the bathroom now stood on a tournament mat, victorious and unstoppable. After the match, a young girl from the audience maybe, 10 or 11, ran up to her. "Are you the girl from the video?" she asked quietly. Imani smiled gently. "Yeah." The girl reached up. "Can I hug you?" Imani nodded. As the girl wrapped her arms around her, she whispered, "I want to be like you when I grow up." Back in the bleachers, Brittany pulled her, hoodie over her head. She had come to mock, but she left with her face hidden in shame. The tournament victory video went viral overnight. Not the Bleach one. Not the screens in the bathroom. But her win. The clip of Imani taking down bully-turned-white belt Kara with comb. Controlled movements hit 4.2 million views in 24 hours. Her name was everywhere. I'm an I Jordan trended worldwide. Karate Prodigy who fought back. She didn't fight dirty, she fought right. And for the first time in a long time, Imani felt something she hadn't known she was missing. Pride. But not everyone was celebrating. In a cold basement cluttered with soda cans and bad intentions. Brittany stared at her cracked iPhone screen. Every scroll brought more humiliation. I got suspended, expelled, and canceled, she hissed. And that stupid karate freak's a hero? Kara sat nearby, icing her elbow from the tournament loss. I looked pathetic out there. Everyone at school saw it. Even my dad said I embarrassed the family. Brittany's eyes narrowed. She thinks it's over, she whispered. But it's not. The following Monday, Roosevelt High buzzed with something new. Imani walked the halls with her head held high. Kids nodded at her. Some even clapped softly as she passed. One teacher stopped her and whispered, "You make us proud, Miss Jordan." Even the principal invited her to speak at the next school assembly about bullying and resilience. Things were finally turning around, but something felt off. She noticed it in the way some students avoided eye contact, in the way the whispers had changed. And then she saw it. The locker. Her locker. Painted over in black spray paint, 4 words, "Bleach girl stays quiet." The hallway went dead silent. Imani stood frozen. Her hands shook, not from fear, but from this wasn't over. This wasn't over. Not yet. A teacher rushed in, yelling for the janitor. The principal came storming down the hall. But it didn't matter. The damage was done. The message was sent. That night, Imani sat in her room, hands wrapped in athletic tape, eyes locked on the ceiling. Her grandfather entered, holding her freshly cleaned GI. "They're scared," he said simply. Imani didn't reply. "You embarrassed them," he continued. "Not just in the tournament, but in life. And people like that, when they lose power, they get desperate. What should I do?" she asked. Ezekiel sat beside her. "You already know. Don't just fight. Rise." 2 days later, the school gym filled with students for the anti-bullying assembly. Imani stepped on stage in her GI. Clean, white, bold dot behind. Her on the projector screen was a single word: strength. She took the mic. "I used to think being quiet made me safe," she began. "That if I stayed small, maybe I wouldn't be a target. But I learned something." She paused, looked straight at the bullies sitting in the front row. Quiet isn't the same as weak. Silence can be strength. But it can also be a storm. The crowd listened, breathless. I didn't fight back because I wanted revenge. I fought because I had no choice. But now I choose to stand for myself. For anyone who's ever been humiliated, mocked, or hurt in silence. Thunderous applause erupted. Even the teachers stood. But far in the back of the gym, Brittany's jaw clenched. Slipped the folded paper into her bag. Later that evening, as the school closed and night fell, the janitor noticed something odd. The dojo room where Imani trained after hours was wide open. Inside, the punching bags had been sliced open with scissors. Mats torn apart. Her practice mirror shattered. And on the wall, another message: nitrogen monoxide. More heroes. But this time, there was a camera. And this time, someone saw everything. The next morning, Roosevelt High was crawling with police. Yellow tape blocked off the gym dojo. Teachers whispered. Students stared. Rumors exploded faster than wildfire. Someone destroyed the whole dojo. They cut the punching bags, shattered. Glass everywhere. Someone spray-painted again? But this time, the principal didn't wait, because this time, they had proof. The school's security system had recently been upgraded after the Bleach incident. What Brittany and Kara didn't know was that the gym had a new hidden camera. The footage was clear. Brittany and Kara, black hoodies, scissors, spray cans, laughing while ripping through Imani's practice space like animals. They thought no one would see Dot, but now the whole administration had seen. Inside the principal's office, Brittany and Kara sat across from Mr. Hackley silent, pale and trembling. Their parents argued loudly. She's exaggerating. They're just kids. It's just some mats. Why involve the police? But the principal was done listening. You want to talk about exaggerating? Let's recap, shall we? He said coldly. First, you poured bleach on a young girl's head. Then you humiliated her on video. Then you mocked her in a karate tournament. And now you broke into school property and vandalized her dojo. He pointed toward the door, where two officers waited. Kara, Brittany, you are both being charged with criminal trespass, property damage, and harassment. Their parents screamed, but it was too late. Outside, the students waited in the courtyard. Phones were already out. As Brittany and Kara were escorted out in handcuffs. The silence was louder than any shout. They had gone from bullies to cautionary tales. Some students whispered. Some didn't even bother looking. But Imani? She watched from the top steps, calm, centered, unshaken. Her bandages were gone, her head freshly shaved, her GI folded neatly over one arm. She didn't smile. She didn't gloat. She just breathed. 2 weeks later, Imani sat across from a journalist from the New York Times. Yes, I'm still training, she said softly. Karate isn't just fighting. It's discipline. It's knowing you could hurt someone, but choosing not to. And the bullying? The reporter asked, would you say it made you stronger? She paused. No, she said honestly. I was strong before. It just gave the world a reason to notice. That night, at an award ceremony hosted by the mayor, Imani was honored with the Civic Courage Medal, the youngest ever recipient. And as she took the stage, she looked out over the crowd. Students, parents, officers, teachers, even strangers, who had once looked past her. People tried to silence me, she said into the mic, her voice clear and powerful. But now, I speak for those still too afraid to speak for themselves. The room rose in a standing ovation. Back home, Ezekiel waited with her medal in his hand. You're not just my granddaughter anymore, he said. You're a leader. Imani smiled. Guess being quiet isn't so bad, when you know when to speak. He placed the medal in her hand and whispered, and when to strike. Oral of the story. Silence does not mean weakness. True strength is the ability to stand tall when others try to break you, and rise higher when they expect you to fall.